Welcome to Beverly Unitarian Church. I'm the Reverend David Schwartz, minister here at Beverly Unitarian, and it's a pleasure to join with you virtually this morning for our Sunday service. We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation. We are a community of children and youth and adults. We're a community of many races, of many beliefs. We're a community of many genders and sexual orientations. We're a community of different abilities and educations and incomes and traditions, and we celebrate, we name, we lift up that diversity of who we are, including our diversity of belief, striving always to make space for more, to open the circle wider, to say, who else, come in, join in. All of you is sacred. All of you is welcome here. Whatever your past was like, whatever this present moment is like for you, the invitation is to journey together into the future as part of this community. Like other Unitarian Universalist congregations, what unites us isn't doctrine or dogma, but a set of shared values, our 7 principles, which you can find on uua.org, the website for the denomination if you're new to us. And what unites us is a shared mission. We gather together to grow our spirits and to help heal the world. I am delighted this morning that our guest preacher will be the Reverend Darrick Jackson. Darrick is a friend, a colleague, someone I've known as long as I've been in Chicago, these last 7 years and change. And he's going to introduce himself in a few moments. But I'm excited that you get the chance to be with him this morning. We especially welcome visitors. I hope you'll stay for the virtual coffee hour after the service. At the very end of the service, the Zoom info will come up on screen, or you may have gotten it in your Friday email if you're signed up for the email list. If you're not, head over to the church Facebook page or website and send us a note so that we can add you on to that listing of what's going on each week. Things are a little quieter in the summer, but we have groups who gather for community and fellowship and for church business. And you can check out the Facebook page or the website for more info on that. I invite you now to take a deep breath and slow down just for a moment and join together in spirit to prepare our hearts and our minds for worship.
Hi everybody, my name is Mark David Buckles and I'm excited to share one of my favorite hymns with you that you may already know. It's Peace Like a River. And one of the things that I love about this song, this hymn, is that it's not all happy. It acknowledges the many things that we're feeling and that we can have complicated feelings. We can hold pain and joy at the same time, and that's okay, and even that can be worth celebrating, that we feel those things. So I love that we sing about having peace like a river and pain like an arrow and strength like a mountain. And in the end, we return to this idea of peace, that we always have the ability to tune back into that peace like a river in our souls. And when I think of a river, I think of the fact that no matter what, it just keeps going. I hope you'll sing Peace Like a River with me. If you don't know it, I think you'll pick it up really quickly. It goes like this. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops in my soul. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops in my soul. I've got strength like the mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. Thank you, everyone.
Good morning. I am the Reverend Darrick Jackson, and I'm happy to lead Beverly Unitarian Church in worship today. I currently serve as the Director of Ministries for Lifelong Learning for the UU Ministers Association and am an affiliated community minister with the Second Unitarian Church of Chicago. It is good that we can be virtually here together. Our opening words this morning are by Muriel Rukeyser. Some say good morning. Some say God bless. Some say possibly. Some say yes. Some say never. Some say unless. It's so stupid and lovely to rush into yes. Some say go local. Some go express. Some can't wait to answer yes. Some complain of strain and stress. the answer may be no for yes. Some like failure, some like success, some like yes, 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 yes. Open your eyes. Dream, but don't guess. Your biggest surprise comes after yes.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, condemned, worshipper, lover of leaving, wondrous, worshipper, lover is leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, cover you are, condemned, worshipper, lover you leaving, ours is no caravan, lover is leaving. Come yet again, come.
We light our chalice with these words by Hafiz. I rarely let the word no escape, because it is so plain to my soul that God has shouted yes, yes, yes to every luminous movement in existence.
Friends, will you join me in the words of our covenant, the commitment that we make to each other about what it is we're doing here, why we gather, who we're becoming, and who we are. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. I invite you to warmly greet those who have gathered today in the chat, remembering it's public. Say hello. Welcome. I invite you now to join with me in a spirit of prayer and meditation. Be where you are. Let this place hold you up. Let yourself be grounded. Let yourself be elevated. Spirit of life and of love, called by many names, known in many ways, experienced in many ways. Our hope and our prayer this morning is to remember who we are and to remember who we're called into becoming. To remember that it takes work day by day to answer that call. To remember that we are beloved exactly as we are, and that we're invited into a larger and larger life. Spirit of life, spirit of love, that force that lives between two people when they meet each other wholly, face to face. Our hope and our prayer this morning is to remember ourselves exactly so that we can turn to face the world again, to serve the world, to be of use, not in grand and great ways, but in the everyday ways of our everyday living. Amen. Throughout the week, we have full lives. We have experiences of joy and of sorrow. And on Sundays, we come to put these experiences, to put the fullness, the richness of our lives into each other's hands. We share our joys and we share our sorrows with each other. And I invite you in just a moment to put those into the chat. When we meet in person, we light candles for these. And so in the chat, if you have a joy or a sorrow that's too tender to be spoken aloud, to be typed aloud, enter in I, as if you were raising two fingers in silence, just like we would in person, to light a candle for you in silence. I invite you now to trust those joys and sorrows into each other's hands.
What wondrous love is this, O my soul, O my soul? What wondrous love is this, O my soul? What wondrous love is this that brings my heart such bliss and takes away the pain of my soul, and takes away the pain of my soul. When I was sinking down, sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down, beneath my sorrow's ground, friends to me gathered round. Oh my soul, friends to me gathered round. Oh my soul, to love and to all friends I will sing, I will sing. To love and to all friends I will sing. To love and to all friends, all pain and sorrow meant, with thanks unto the end I will sing, I will sing. With thanks unto the end I will sing. What wondrous love is this, O my soul, O my soul? What wondrous love is this, O my soul? What wondrous love is this that brings my heart such bliss and takes away the pain of my soul, and takes away the pain of my soul.
Our reading this morning is Tina Fey's Rules of Improvisation by Tina Fey. The first rule of improvisation is agree. Always agree and say yes. When you're improvising, this means you are required to agree with whatever your partner has created. So if we're improvising and I say, "Freeze, I have a gun," and you say, "That's not a gun, it's your finger. You're pointing your finger at me." Our improvised scene has ground to a halt. But if I say, "Freeze, I have a gun," and you say, "The gun I gave you for Christmas," then we have started a scene because we have agreed that my finger is, in fact, a Christmas gun. Now, obviously, in real life, you're not always going to agree with everything everyone says. But the rule of agreement reminds you to respect what your partner has created and to at least start from an open-minded place. Start with a yes and see where that takes you. As an improviser, I always find it jarring when I meet someone in real life whose first answer is no. "No, we can't do that. No, that's not in the budget. No, I will not hold your hand for $1. What kind of way is that to live? The second rule of improvisation is not only to say yes, but yes and. You are supposed to agree and then add something of your own. If I start a scene with, "I can't believe it's so hot in here," and you just said, "Yeah," we're kind of at a standstill. But if I say, "I can't believe it's so hot in here," and you say, "What did you expect? We're in hell." Or if I say, "I can't believe it's so hot in here," and you say, "Yes, this can't be good for the wax figures." Or if I say, "I can't believe it's so hot in here," and you say, "I told you we shouldn't have crawled into this dog's mouth," now we're getting somewhere. To me, yes and means don't be afraid to contribute. It's your responsibility to contribute. Always make sure you're adding something to the discussion. Your initiations are worthwhile. In times like these, we need to have practices that sustain us, things that ground us, connect us, bring us joy. One of my practices is improvisation. I have been involved in improv in one way or another for almost 20 years. I first became involved in improv through playback theater, which is a form of improv where we invite the audience to share stories, and then we offer those stories back through sound and movement and improv. I did that at the beginning of my seminary learning during the first few years, and after that our playback troupe disbanded. And so I kept using playback in class projects and kept it alive in many different ways. After I graduated from seminary and started in ministry, I was invited to be a part of Healing Moments, which is a ministry for caregivers of people with Alzheimer's, where we teach improv skills to them as a way of learning to be with the person that they're caring for. And so this was a very practical way of using improv in ministry. And I'm still involved with that organization today. When I taught at Meadsville Lombard several years ago, I had the idea of having a course that integrated ministry and theology and the arts. And I came up with the course Ministry as Improv, where we learned basic improv skills and learn how to apply them in ministerial settings, ways to engage and be present with each other. You see, for me, life is improv. But we never really know what's going to happen next. We have ideas of what's going to happen. We have plans in our head, but we don't know. We just respond to what is given to us. We live an improv life. And so I want to cultivate that and be intentional about that improv. It's not as scary as we might think. See, most of us, we are introduced to improv through shows like Whose Line Is It Anyway? These improv games that show off skill, and it seems very frightening. And as someone who does improv, some of those times of those things seem very frightening. But I'm inviting you to engage in a deeper sense of improv. Embrace an improv spirituality to ground and center. See, improv in many ways is a mindfulness practice. It requires you to be fully present to what is going on. And central to the spirituality, as we learned from Tina Fey in the reading, is saying yes. It is saying what is happening, is accepting it as it is. It is seeing what is going on as the reality for the moment. To engage what is and what can be. To be fully present. The improv guru, Keith Johnstone, writes, "There are people who prefer to say yes, and there are people who prefer to say no. Those who say yes are rewarded by the adventures they have, and those who say no are rewarded by the safety they attain. There are far more no-sayers than yes-sayers. But you can train one type to behave like the other." So, take a moment to think about yourself. Are you a yes-sayer or a no-sayer? There's no wrong answer on this. Just take a moment. Now think, what would it be like if you could be both? It could give you an opportunity to know when are those places to set boundaries, to be safe, but also open you up to taking risk, having an adventure, seeing what could be possible. Saying yes is about, as Tina Fey put it, respect what your partner has created. It's grounded in respect, that we're in a conversation with another. We are offering respect to where they are, what they are going, by saying yes, that is real for them. That is their reality. You don't necessarily have to agree with it, but you have to say yes to where they are, that is the place where they are. It's about acceptance, accepting what is going on, what is happening at the moment. Rumi writes, "Learn the alchemy true beings know. The moment you accept what troubles you've been given, the door opens." And what Rumi is talking about is that when we can accept what's going on and stop trying to pretend that it's not there, put all this energy into what it is not, there becomes space for something new to appear, for other options. We free up our mind, we free up our hearts, we free up space for new options. One thing that I learned from my time with Healing Moments was that studies show that the only thing that can reduce caregiver stress is acceptance. So when caregivers can actually accept that this is the situation their loved one is, that this is the situation, it can relieve stress. It lifts the weight off of their shoulders. Let me tell you a story from our founder, Jade Angelica. She was playing bridge with her mother. And her mother had Alzheimer's, and this was the first time that she was able to spend time with her mother since the diagnosis, and she was giving her sister a break from caregiving. And so Jade and her mother were having a wonderful time, and they start playing bridge. And Jade had been playing bridge since she was little. And so they're playing bridge, and all of a sudden her mother says, "Well, who taught you how to play?" Now Jade knew that her mother taught her how to play, but so wasn't sure how to respond to this. And so she just says, "Well, you did." And her mother says, No, I didn't." And Jade said, "Yes, you did." And then they start going back and forth. "No, you didn't." "Yes, I did." Until Jade decides to just deflect the whole conversation and say, "It's your turn." And so they continue playing bridge for a while. And then the memory comes back to her mother and asks the question again, "No, really, who taught you how to play?" And Jade, guided by some sort of divine inspiration, says to her mother, "My mother did." And her mother says, "Oh, I didn't know Aunt Stella knew how to play." Now, this made Jade realize that she was being cast as her cousin. And it shifted the story. And so they started to have a conversation about Aunt Stella and what did she like to bake. And it shifted the frustration that had been in the first conversation to an opportunity to get to know more about her mother and her aunt. By accepting the situation and accepting the role that she had been cast by her mother, she was able to release the stress of the situation. Now, you don't have to necessarily be in a full agreement or liking when you accept. Nathaniel Brandon writes, "Accepting does not necessarily mean liking, enjoying, or condoning. I can accept what is and be determined to evolve from there. It is not acceptance but denial that leaves me stuck." When we accept, it gives us a place to grow, a place from which to move. But when we get stuck in that denial, we are blocked. There's nowhere to go. You can't have a conversation if you say something and the person just completely denies you, that says no. There's nowhere to go. But if you can accept, if you can say yes, it provides a springboard for something new. So in an improv, saying yes doesn't mean you always have to say the word yes. You can say no as long as you are accepting the offer that the person is giving you, accepting the reality in the world that you have been placed. And if you can go from there, you have someplace to go. But if you are actually denying the very existence of where things are, then you are, and we call this an improv, you're blocking. You are preventing movement. Now in improv, we don't just stop with yes. I mean, yes is good and acceptance is important. But the second rule, as Tina Fey writes, is yes and. This is when we bring our own contribution to the conversation, to the situation. It's a reminder that we are a part of what's going on. We are not passive consumers. We are to engage fully. And so when we say yes, we take it and move it forward, that we have some responsibility to be part of the movement. We don't just sit and say yes. We say yes, and then what is next? So, like in the reading, when Tina Fey gives the offer of "it's hot in here," just to say yes, it's hot doesn't help any. But to add something like where we are or who we're in conversation with, so yes, we're in hell, or yes, we are in a dog's mouth. I mean, that gives a direction for the conversation. We are adding something, a piece into it. And so in an improv spirituality, we learn to accept what is, and then we move to add to it, which might be shifting the direction. But we are accepting that this is the place that we're starting from. It's not a place of thinking that we are stuck in where we are. That is not the yes and. The yes says, okay, I see where this is the place we're starting from, and now I'm going to start to move to the place where I want us to be. And we continue that conversation, and we bring that into our world of how we interact with one another. It creates a space of engaging, of being in relationship that's real and honest and deep. It moves us from the surface, but to go deeper. That and requires us to go deeper. It opens up a space to recognize that people with opposite beliefs from ours still have inherent worth and dignity. And yet, we don't necessarily have to be in full agreement, but we can recognize that this is where they are. Now I see where they are. I can accept that's where they are, and let's have a conversation to move in a different direction. Or to be able to say, this is where they are. I know they're not going to be able to move from that place, but I'm not going to wish or pretend that they are in a different place. It's accepting and then seeing where that takes us. An improv spirituality allows us to sit and be present to all that is going around us, to say yes to what we see, to what we experience, the smells, the tastes, the touch, all of our senses, saying yes to all of those things. And engage them to notice and be fully present. I think of mindfulness meditation as an improv meditation. It's about being present. And we can bring that into our everyday lives. What possibilities could there be? How deeper could our relationships be? How stronger could our conversations be? I invite you to say yes. Yes, and. Just try it. Maybe just for a few minutes a day. Then try a few hours. Then daily, then weekly, then monthly, as you bring it into your life and see what it has to offer you. May you be filled with a life of yes. Blessed be.
We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love.
My friends, let us close with these words by Dag Hammarskjöld. For all that has been, thanks. For all that will be, yes. May you be thankful for all that you have and say yes to what is possible. Blessed be.
you.